Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you all are doing well and blessed and grateful and healthy and have peace and joy and all those beautiful things on this Tuesday. Aisha here, founder and CEO of the Sistahs in Business Expo, country's only multi-city small business expo created to celebrate entrepreneur women of color. And I'm really, really excited about today's Founders Chat. And so we are going to jump right in. Go ahead and click share. Tell your folks that we are live and we are on and popping so that they can join us. And we thank you all for being with us today. We would love to have you hang out with us for a little bit for this week's midday lunchtime sort of Founders Chat with none other than Dreena Whit. So I'm going to add her to our live.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you on screen anyway. We've been trying to get together. When this Rona is over, we're going to make it happen.
When this Rona is over, I'm doing all the things.
All the things, honey. All the things. Okay? Every day my list gets something added to it.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But how are you? How are you?
I'm good. I'm really, really good. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. I'm happy. How are you?
Same. Some days are better than others, but overall I really can't complain. It's been tough, but we're still here. God is still good, so we're gonna keep going and keep pressing on. Yes.
Say a word.
Listen, I try to keep from preaching on here, but every now and then it slips out a little bit. I don't know if you know I'm also a minister too. I think I might have told you that when we spoke.
So come on, I need a little word.
Girl, listen, it slips out every now and then. And I was just thinking to myself, I miss preaching, because we haven't been in church and, I'm not a senior pastor, I'm an associate. So I don't preach every Sunday, but most of the times when I do preach, it was for like special events or invitations to other churches. And of course, a lot of those things have been canceled. So I was just, reflecting like, dang, I hope I can still preach when this is all over. And then I got a call to preach at a church for their Women's Day service in a couple of weeks. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess we'll find out in a couple of weeks.
So
it's going to be a virtual service.
Okay, it's going to be a virtual service.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be virtual. It's going to be virtual. Yeah, they'll stream it. I'll have to go to the sanctuary and they'll stream it live. So looking forward to that. Well, welcome to the Sistahs in Business Founders Chat. We are so excited to have you with us. And I always say the best way, we say this in church, the best way to introduce a preacher is to let them preach. So I always say the best way to introduce a sister is to let her introduce herself. Tell everyone who you are and what you do and a little bit about you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me. This is my first live ever. I've never done a live ever. I was over here terrified.
We broke the mold. Now you're gonna be getting calls all the time.
But thank you so much for having me. Everyone, hi. My name is Dreena Whitfield. I'm the founder of Whit PR. We're a boutique communications firm in New Jersey. We've worked with small businesses, nonprofits, small to large scale businesses and brands, and individual personalities. And at the core, we help people tell their story.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about you personally. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Stuff like that.
I'm a Jersey girl, born and bred. I grew up in Westfield, one of the few Black families there. I still live in New Jersey. I went to Lincoln University and PA, the first HBCU.
Yes.
And studied strategic communications at Seton Hall for my master's. So I worked in corporate America a little bit before I launched my company, and I've been doing Whit PR for about 10 years now.
So, I think it's pretty cool because a lot of times as the person in PR or the publicist, it's your job to get your clients or in opportunities like this, but it's very rare that you actually see the person behind the scenes. How is it working behind the scenes and not necessarily being in the spotlight and getting the opportunity as often, to really be in front and tell your story?
Honestly, I love it. I'm a behind the scenes person by nature. I think just in this new wave of PR, that a lot more publicists are forward facing and, in the spotlight. But my mantra has always been like, we've been hired to help the client shine, and that's what we're supposed to do. It's not about us. So don't be on no red carpets.
Right. So you're not trying to be like, what's his name? Not Snoop, the other guy who was like trying to be all in the videos.
Oh, Did you see that?
Oh God, not him, Lord Jesus. Who am I thinking of? The big guy I think he's in jail now.
Oh, Suge Knight.
And he was talking about Puff. He was talking about Puff, saying that Puff is always trying to be in the videos and on this. Yes, girl, Suge Knight. I don't know why that came to me. I'm bugging, but anyway. So you mentioned that that you worked in corporate America a little bit before. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how that helped you in building your brand?
So when I graduated college, one of my first jobs was a temp position at American Express when Ken Chenault was the CEO, which, was an amazing opportunity. And I'm sorry, you guys will probably hear my ring as people are walking by, so my apologies. But I was there as a temp for about 2 years, and I really wanted a full-time position, and one became available to me at Gray Global Group, which is an advertising agency in the city, as a direct marketing coordinator, so not necessarily in the PR space. And I stayed there for about 4 years before ultimately leaving to start with PR. But what it taught me, and is one thing that I've tried to bring over into my business, is like organization and structure and creating team meetings and empowering your teams. So that was, really helpful for me as I started my entrepreneurial journey.
And how did you ultimately take that leap? That's one of the most common questions that we get, something that a lot of people are interested in, are desirous of, are fearful of, because we have a lot of sisters who have great businesses, but are still maintaining full-time jobs, which of course is perfectly fine if that is what their season calls them to do, but have this desire to ultimately become full-time entrepreneurs. How did you make that leap, and what advice would you have for anyone who's considering it?
Well, the way I launched Whit PR was not the traditional way of launching a business. I was really naive when I launched it. I hated my job. And I'm just the type of person that I go off of energy. I go off of the vibe in the room. So I stayed at my company for a while. I tried to move within the organization to different positions that made me a little bit more happier, and they just weren't being afforded to me. So then one day I just went into my office. I went upstairs, dropped my stuff off, said hi to everybody, went downstairs and got my coffee. And I was just I called my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband. I was like, you know what? Today's the day. Today's the day I'm quitting my job to launch Whit PR. And I went upstairs and gave my notice. I would not recommend that to anyone, just because when I say I started from the bottom, I started from the bottom. I had no contacts, no clients, no frame or structure to even starting a business. So I literally started from ground zero. But what that also taught me was it just allowed me to make all the mistakes that have helped me grow over the years. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you are working full time, you're thinking about taking that lead to, the land of entrepreneurship, I just say have a solid plan in place and savings, because you're going to need that.
Absolutely. So a plan and some savings. Yes. For those of you who may just be joining us or joined late, Aisha here, founder and CEO of Sistahs and Business Expo, and we are chatting with Dreena Whitfield, who is the founder and CEO of Whit PR. And we are just chatting it up about all things entrepreneurship and making the transition and good stuff. So feel free to hang out with us a little bit, click like and share. We appreciate you being with us this afternoon. So it's no secret that we are in the middle of a global pandemic. And obviously it has impacted us in so many ways, particularly as it relates to business and entrepreneurship. I know personally, which I know that even on the PR side, things have taken a major, just kind of hit and transformation. How have you and your business been impacted by this unprecedented experience, and what have you had to kind of do to pivot, which I wish we could come up with another word because
I
people are killing
know.
it, but Lord Jesus, what have you had to do to sort of re-strategize during this time?
Well, I mean, like most small businesses, like we've been affected by COVID-19 because I'm in an industry that's often deemed as glamorous, and like a lot of our clients are lifestyle based. You know, a few of our clients had to pause on their contracts just because right now is not the time to be promoting their businesses or services, just because, you know, folks lost their jobs, they don't have money, like they're sick, they're worried about family members. And so, which I completely understand and get. And so as a pivot, you know, one of the things that we're relaunching is our Whit PR collective, which is kind of just like our digital school to help entrepreneurs who are in that phase of like they need to hire a publicist but don't necessarily have the budget to do so. We want to kind of provide them with the tools to start some of their grassroots work themselves. But I've been grateful and fortunate that I've been able to keep on all of my team members. We're still actively working and, you know, trying to get through this.
Yes, that is a blessing. Hoping that it ends soon so
Lord,
that we
aren't
can
we
kind of get
all? I just want to go to the Target
to
without a
some
mask
sense
on.
of, girl, to some sense of normalcy.
Outside.
I know. And I keep saying this had to happen at the most beautiful time of year, you know, when the weather is just starting to break. If it had been dead winter, you know, with the snow and all that, I might not have minded as
Nobody
much.
care about that. Nobody going outside anyway.
Right. Right. But we got
And
70, 80 degree days.
So it's been rough.
Yeah. So Mother's Day is coming up. You are a wife and a mom. We have lots of our sisterpreneurs who are also moms. Can you talk a little bit about that dynamic and being a mom and managing your business and how you keep up with it all? I try not to use the word balance because I don't know if there's really such a thing, but any strategies or you know, kind of just personal mantras or practices that you do to kind of keep things under control?
I don't think I'm the best person to kind of provide that guidance, just because, you know, in PR, it's always changing. Before this, I was doing a lot of travel, and thank God, like I have a very supportive husband and partner and supporter in the business who's like, if I need to go away for like 3 or 5 days to be on site with a client, he will pick up all the duties around the house and take care of our son. Like, not take care of our son, but, you know, fill in where I'm not here to, like, you know, keep the home base going. So he's looking at me right now with the side eye. So, but honestly, I would not be where I am without him, just because he's literally like when things are short, when clients are like got to cancel or don't pay, he will help pick up where I'm lacking. So, yeah,
blessing.
But right now it's a trying time because my son is 5. We're also like we have to homeschool now. And everybody wants to do the Zoom calls for meetings, and you know, my son don't care. He right here in my face asking for
hello, Mom.
And, you know, so it's, you know, it's a trying time right now, but I'm thankful to have a supportive partner.
Yes, it helps a lot. It definitely helps a lot. So you've been, I think you said 10 years, right? You've been on this entrepreneur, which is amazing, to be able to withstand that amount of time. Listen, sometimes I'm just looking at next month like, Lord Jesus, are we gonna make it?
Listen, I'm always
so I'm sure. Go ahead. I'm sure over that time you have, you know, you've learned a lot. And had to experience a lot. So over the years, what have been some of the toughest lessons that you've had to learn, you know, that you maybe could caution someone else on?
I've learned a lot over the last 10 years. Just like I said, I started with no real framework of how to run a business, how to write a contract, how to, you know, go after clients and maintain clients. But in my world, I would say, you know, the biggest lesson that I learned is not to take anything personal, specifically because in PR, we're a client-based service, and you know, a lot of folks don't understand this industry. So if things aren't going right, they're automatically coming at us. And you have to have thick skin in this industry. And over the years, I've really developed that, because when I first started, I was crying at the drop of a dime, ready to like go off the ledge and, you know, I would go on deep end, but really just not to take anything personal, and to also just make sure you have all your back end stuff, you know, tightened for your business.
Like what?
I would say you need a good accountant who can help get your money in place, a really great admin who can help with the back end, like answering emails, you know, reviewing contracts, managing the accounts payable process, just because as an entrepreneur, when you're coming out, those are things, especially if you've never done this, you don't even know where to start. So having a solid team in place that can help, like specifically an accountant and specifically an admin, I think are key.
And I think a lot of times people, you know, kind of feel like their hands are tied, especially if they're just starting out, because they may know they need those things, but they can't necessarily afford them yet. What did you do early on, or once you kind of learned that you needed those things before there was really a line item budget to pay an accountant or an admin?
You have to figure out a way, even if it's like to have an intern. I mean, the intern start off as an admin who ultimately grows into a paid position. That's helpful. But like, if you're going to really be in business, you have to put money aside to have, you know, to pay for an accountant, because he will help you get your money right. An accountant and a bookkeeper, they will help you get your money right. They will help manage the financials that come out and like what you report out to the IRS.
Right.
Virtual
and I mean, I think
too is great too. Someone just said that in the comments.
Yeah.
I'm a little
and like
bit
you
hesitant
said
about those, just because I'm a person that I like to like see, touch, and feel, and like have, you know, face-to-face time.
more
But
personal.
I mean, that's always something I would be down to try if it's the right person.
Yeah, and you know, people have to do what works for them.
Yeah.
You know, I think the ultimate, like you said, you got to figure it out. Like where there's a will, there's a way, and particularly with this digital age, we have so many resources available to us that there almost is no excuse. You know what I mean? Like even if you have to start off with the basics of QuickBooks, you know, until you can hire someone, you know, start with that.
You better
Watch
learn
YouTube
to make an
videos.
invoice on QuickBooks. Google
Exactly.
how to write my first contract was straight out of Google.
Exactly.
And as I grew, like, and I experienced a lot of things, like people just canceling the contract and leaving me like stuck. I knew what I needed in my contract to help protect me in my business.
Absolutely. We have a question, and yes, please, if you have any questions for Dreena, please post them. We will definitely be getting to them. Shaylin says, do you use any CRM systems to help keep your contacts or communications?
We used to use, MailChimp a lot. My digital person now is really in love with Constant Contact, just because she feels like it allows you to tweak it a little bit further. One tool that we also use internally is HubSpot, which allows you to track your emails. It's a CRM marketing tool. So that's been extremely helpful to us.
You said HubSpot?
HubSpot.
Oh, HubSpot.
Let me see if I can add it in the comments.
Okay, we have our marketing directors on taking notes too, Tev Media, so she'll
Hi,
she'll add it. She loves you, by the way.
Really?
Yes, she does.
Hi, girl. Hit me up.
I'll text you about that later. But yeah, she loves you.
Okay.
So over the years, right? I think one thing that is important and obviously can be challenging if you want to have longevity is remaining relevant, right? There is no shortage of publicists. I don't know if everybody who uses the title can claim it.
Listen,
but I'm sure it can be, you know, you know my experience, so that's a whole nother talk show. But you know, there's everybody out there now is a publicist. Everybody out there is in PR, you know, so I'm sure at times it can seem like a competitive market. How do you stay afloat? How do you remain relevant? How do you reinvent yourself? How do you stay at the top of the industry in whatever way that means?
Wow, I don't even really feel like I'm at the top of the industry, but honestly, I don't even pay attention to any of that. I'm literally just head down, working. 95% of my business is referral based, and it's been like that since I started, which, you know, knock on wood, I'm extremely grateful for that. And I just really haven't paid attention to that. You know, my team are the ones who've been like, you need to do more Instagram lives, you need to do more marketing, more interviews, but I'm so into just actually doing the work that I haven't really made that a priority. And like, you know, when you just need to be laser focused on your own business, your own goals, like fulfilling client expectations. Don't worry about who's on the red carpet. You may see it, have a little kiki with your friends, but I'm not focused on that.
Tev said we love publicists. I don't know if that's exactly true, Tev. We love the good publicists.
Yeah, and you know, that's the thing with all of these new age publicists, and not just like, you know, label them, but like a lot of the publicists, people who claim themselves to be publicists, they oftentimes make it difficult for the publicists or PR teams that actually do the work, because people have been burnt so badly in the past behind publicists who don't necessarily do the best job.
Yeah. And that's, you know, that happens in a lot of industries. We get that too with people who had bad experiences with, you know, other expos or other vendor events and things like that. And so a lot of times you kind of have to regain that trust, you know, from people. But, you know, there are still some good folks out there. So we try to stay on the good side. We definitely try to stay on the good side. So what are your must-haves? You know, you're a sister, you're in business, like we said, you're a mom and a wife. What are your must-haves or must-dos to keep yourself sane and to keep your business popping?
Okay. So recently I've kind of like with COVID-19, I've kind of just changed to like what I need. When everything started to like get a little bit crazy, I got a treadmill. And so like that is like my must have right now. Like every day.
That was smart.
Not every day. Let me not fake the funk, but like every other day I do a run early in the morning. It helps me de-stress. It helps me like, you know, achieve my goal of trying to lose weight. It just helps me relax. Secondly, like my phone is a necessity for my business. I have 2 of them, just because of emails, social media, and the other platforms that we use. And then third, just to like help my business run, I wouldn't be where I am without the ladies on my team. So that's a must have for me, because I can't do all things myself.
What do you look for when choosing your team members? And have you had any bad experiences? That might be some red flags we could share with folks.
So when I first started out with PR and I hired my first assistant, I had a vision of what I wanted her to look like and be like. She needs to be cute, cool, had to like dress fashionably, and like I was like, just on appearances, I was like, she's it, that's her. She got in, stole my whole list, wiped my computer clean, and that really taught me like, okay, Dreena, you got to stop being like superficial with like new hires, just because like a lot of people are like that. But what I need and I look for in team members are people who are interested in the actual strategy behind PR and understand like the process and time that it takes. You also just have to be down to like do all things, because you know that's what happens in this industry. Like no one day is the same, and then you just have to be honest and, you know, trustworthy, and prove that I can trust you, and having an interest in PR and knowing the difference between like actual PR and what's portrayed on social is like key.
Do you have anyone who has started out with you maybe as an intern or in another area and you know, moved on to create their own brand or anything, and how important do you think it is that we kind of help and mold those who are coming behind us?
I think it's very important, just because like we're not always going to be here, and like what's the point of having these businesses and tools and knowledge without, you know, empowering the next generation. I started with PR because I could not find a PR agency that was ran by Black women that really told the stories of Black women and like our community. So that's legit why I started my company. And so now I really make it a priority that I hire young Black girls who are interested, or women and other women of color who are interested in like having a career in PR, but aren't having the success in finding like a job at the big, larger firms. And, you know, not to like toot our own horn, but we do just as much work as some of the larger firms, sometimes as on the same level of, achievements. And so I'm just really grateful for the people that I have. I want to give a shout out to Kendra Key. Her handle is at KK Doll. She started with me as an intern, and now she's one of my most trusted publicists on my team, and I love and adore her. And she has, she's launching something pretty soon that I'm really excited for her about.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So we have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Shaylin asks, what is your biggest advice when it comes to pricing for someone who's new in the game?
I would develop an hourly rate, a realistic hourly rate, and figure out how many hours. Sorry if y'all hear Gabe in the background.
Okay.
Develop like a realistic timeline of how long things actually take for you to do, and set your pricing that way. If you have a team, then you need to structure it out where you're including your team members.
Okay. And Tev asks, can you talk about the difference between marketing and public relations?
Sure. So PR, we deal solely with the media. We help paint that image that you want portrayed in like the magazines and newspapers and on TV. And then marketing helps benefit that. So when you see, like, for instance, one of the projects that we worked on last year was Guava Island, which was the Amazon film with Childish Gambino. And Kendra's texted me talking about how dare you make me tear up like that. Which was a film on Amazon Prime with Childish Gambino and Rihanna, and we were hired by the creative team behind Childish Gambino to generate media awareness around their role in the film. However, what people will see is the larger scale, like, marketing activation that they did at Coachella, where it was like they created Guava Island on the ground. That's marketing. PR is us engaging press on behalf of the client to, like, piggyback off of what they're doing on the ground, or what you're doing digitally, or what you're doing physically, because people still do a lot of direct marketing. Was that? Cool. I hope that explained it well.
Don't worry, she'll follow up if it didn't.
And my husband's in the back like,
so we got it. Good. So what advice would you give, besides what you've already mentioned, maybe 3 things as it relates to entrepreneurship for someone who may just be starting out or kind of feel stuck and is looking, kind of for that push or that motivation? What advice would you give? Maybe 3 things that every business or every entrepreneur should do or have, or something like that.
I would say, like, make sure you have you're truly passionate about your business, because a lot of times people will start businesses just because they want to make a quick buck and not really passionate about the actual business, and they give up too soon. So, like, having faith and being passionate are key, but also I would say, being authentic and, like, making sure you're transparent with your client base or your customer. Those are the main things, because especially in this age, because people are going through so much, they're not into, like, the fluff. So, well, we know you're super humble, right? And you don't talk a lot about as it relates to the specific names or people that you have worked with. But maybe you could share a little bit just in terms of, like, some real highlights or, some clients or deals where you were like, wow, this is really amazing. I'm really grateful. Anything or anybody that comes to mind that you could share? Because I think it's important that we encourage people, and that they know they can get there too, and it can happen to anybody, including your regular girl from Jersey, Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I started my company in my living room, right? So in my 1-bedroom apartment, I would never imagine that I've been able to do and work with the type of people that I've been able to work with and be in the spaces that I've been able to be in. Am I supposed to flex right now? Because it says that right there, and I'm not really.
You talking about flex time?
I know. Is that so? You want me to just name drop?
That's Tara. Drop the names, girl. Drop the names.
I don't like it.
I know you don't. I know. Why is that, though? Is it just, I mean, this is kind of a serious question. Is it bad practice for a publicist Or is it just you and your humility?
That's just me and my humility. I like loathe when people name drop. That's just my thing.
Okay.
So, like I don't do that.
Okay.
So
you said light flex.
Light flex. So I would say 2 major things that I would never have dreamed would have ever happened was I got to meet Oprah. And that was through my work with Cory Booker as his press secretary during his last term here. Cory Booker and working for him and his administration was actually on my vision board when I graduated college. And I just didn't know how I would get there. And it started because when I launched my company, one of my first clients was his nonprofit in the city of Newark now. And the CEO of the company, who's also like one of my good friends, LeVar Young right now, he referred me to Cory's chief of staff at the time, who was Modia Butler, and that's how I got to work for him. And it was also during a time when he was transitioning out of mayor to run for senator. So there's all these campaign events. Of course, Madam Oprah did one with him, and that's how I got to meet her. I don't know if Sharon's on this live, but Sharon, who was Cory's basically gatekeeper at the time, allowed me the opportunity to meet Oprah and she did the whole thing where she was like, press secretary. And that will stay in my mind.
That was a moment.
There she is. Hey, Sharon, you remember that day? I was like in tears and shaking. The second thing I think that I just would never have imagined was going to the Oscars with my client, Patrice Cullors at the time, who is one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter. She had launched a book, and When They Call You a Terrorist, a Black Lives Matter memoir. It was during that time we were able to get her on the New York Times bestsellers list. We helped activate her tour, and part of that was going to the Oscars. I mean,
right.
I would never would have imagined, like, in my wildest dreams that I'd be walking a client down the red carpet at the Oscars. And so even now, just talking about it with you, it's just reminding me, like, yo, you went to the Oscars. And I would say those are 2 main things. I'm sure there's more, but I just can't remember. But those 2 main things stick out and like were the highlights of my life.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I mean, I think it's an important kind of story and lesson to share for those who may be feeling like they may never get there. You know what I mean? Or that's not in the cards for them, that anything is possible, right? But that you also have to do the work. Right? Because God is going to align the people and the places, but you still have to be prepared and have the track record and your stuff together to be able to show that you can handle it. You deserve to be in that space. And so I think when we do the work and we let God do his work, then the sky is the limit and anything is possible. So that's really beautiful. I tell you, it just be sneaking out. But it just be coming out. But yeah, it's important. It's important that people see, because, you know, it's easy to kind of get in that rut or think small, right? Especially as women of color, we downplay ourselves. We think small. We think, oh, I'll just be this little, you know, publicist or this little, you know, designer or whatever the case might be. And if that's what you want, then that's fine. But if you do, in fact, want to be in larger spaces and bigger opportunities and things like that, then there's no reason why it can't happen. And so I love when people share their stories, because it just kind of provides hope, right? That if it could happen to her, it could happen to me. Right.
Listen, when I started, like I said, I had no contacts, like no media contacts. And as a publicist, like your media list is like it's your Bible. It's all things. I couldn't afford the database that we use now. And so what I legit used to do was buy all the magazines from like CVS or Walgreens and literally go through the masthead, Google that name, try to figure out the email, and that's how, like, and I would just cold pitch email, and whichever one didn't bounce back, I was like, you know what, that's the one. And that's how I started building my media list. So you just have to also, when you're starting out and you don't have the resources or tools, you have to be innovative and try to figure out a way to just make it work.
Start from somewhere.
Start somewhere. That's what I did.
And don't expect people to just give you stuff.
Listen, no. I have a whole person. I have a person who's like hasn't talked to me for years because I wouldn't give her my contact at the Real when I worked hard for that contact, and she just blindly asked me for it. So it's like, you have to also build relationships where I want to be able to share contacts with you for things that I've worked hard for. So just like persistence, be innovative, and work hard.
Amazing, amazing. Shaylin is asking what database you use now. I'm not sure if that's public information. Is that public information? You might have to email her for a consultation on that.
We use Cision.
All right, there you have it. So are you a book reader? Any books or resources, other resources that you recommend?
I try to read books when I have time, but it's so hard. And I've tried to also do the audiobook thing. But also that's when I have time. She's like, I'll get a no if I can't ask.
That's true.
I do have like 3 books that I do, because I know you asked what 3 books, would I recommend to entrepreneurs. And so I actually have them here. One is Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. Can everyone see that? By Richard Carlson. This will just help you to figure out methods just to not let small things get to you, because everything ultimately is small. 100 Days to Brave for folks who are starting off as entrepreneurs. It's a daily devotional guide that'll just help you be your most courageous self. And then for entrepreneurs who are in a customer service based sort of business, Never Lose the Customer Again. This will help you come up with innovative methods to improve your customer experience and service. And, I think those 3 things have been really helpful to me.
Good. There was a question that I missed. Thanks, Tev. Simone asked, do you have any tips on how to vet or choose a publicist?
I would just do a Google search on them, ask for their client list, ask for if they have case studies they could show you, any client referrals or testimonials that they could share would be helpful too.
Good. All right, well, this is last call for questions. If you guys have any questions for Dreena, because we're going to be hopping off soon, we definitely would love to get to them. And we, again, thank you for being with us. If you missed any part of this, you'll be able to, of course, watch the replay for the next 24 hours, but then it'll also be on our YouTube channel in a couple of days. So any parting words, any parting thoughts, or just inspiration, anything you have coming up on the horizon that folks should look out for? I know you mentioned your sort of training resource. And how can folks stay in touch with you?
Folks can follow me on social media at Dreena Whit PR. You can also follow the business at Whit PR. My website is whitpr.com. And you can always shoot me an email at Dreena, DREENA, at whitpr.com with any questions. And if you want any information on the Whit PR Collective that we're launching, I think within the next couple days, I can send that as well.
Okay. Good stuff. Everybody says thank you. Thank you so much. We're glad to be your first Instagram Live.
I'm like, ooh, I've never done a live.
Yes. And this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. As we mentioned at the beginning, your industry is one that a lot of people are interested in and have a desire to know more about and pursue careers in. And so I think it's really important that they see and hear from a sister who's doing it and doing it well. Thank you so much for all you do. And we welcome you to the Sistahs in Business family. You're officially part of the family now. And we will be, you and I will be getting together when the Rona decides to leave us alone.
We're due coffee.
Yes.
So
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks. Sounds good. Bye-bye.
All righty. Well, thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. That was fun. Dreena is so amazing. And we do hope that you were inspired and also gain some information about this, the industry and just, what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Just a few quick updates on the Sistahs in Business Expo side. We are really, really excited. We have a couple of more great founders chats lined up. This Thursday, we will be chatting with Natalie Cofield, who is the founder of Walker's Legacy. Next week, we will be chatting with Yatunde Oso, who is the founder of upper room events. And we'll have some more that we'll be announcing. So we're really excited about those. Be sure to, stay tuned to the timeline and check your emails to get all the updates. We also announced last week that the Atlanta Expo has been postponed to October 18th. And so we want to be sure that everyone has those details. If you're a vendor or a volunteer, you should have received an email. Sure, check your email if you did not receive it. Also, if you're on our mailing list, the information was shared there. And we, right now, July 11th and August 8th are still on schedule for Philly and in the DC area. But of course, we are continuing to monitor and watch the pandemic and how it either progresses or regresses. We're praying it regresses, but nevertheless, we will make decisions as necessary, and we'll make sure that we inform everyone of any changes that are made. So most importantly, we pray that you all are safe, that you are healthy, that you're practicing your social distancing and your hand washing and all of that stuff. And of course, please be sure to complete your census if you have not already. It is extremely important that you do that. And we want to make sure that we are counted and that our voices are heard when the time comes to allocate funding and resources. So if you're not on our mailing list, be sure to join. We definitely don't want you to miss any important updates. Check your spam folder in case it goes there the first time around and add us to your safe list. And also be sure to check out our shop. I know Mother's Day is coming up. We have some amazing merch, some great gifts from Mom, as well as Father's Day next month. If your mom or someone in your life is an entrepreneur or just wants to show their support for When My Sister Wins, We All Win. We have that merch there, so be sure to check it out, SIBEXPOshop.com. And we also have some new merch that's going to be dropping soon, so you can stay tuned and look out for that. And yeah, we'll have some other announcements that are coming up, so just stay tuned, stay connected, stay plugged in, and most of all, stay safe. We love you guys. We thank you so much for hanging out with us today, and we will see you on Thursday, if not sooner. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Be safe.